Buenos Aires' Palermo Chico neighborhood is quiet, affluent, and manicured. Walking down these tree-lined avenues, the environment feels entirely detached from the turbulent, often violent histories that forged modern Latin America. Then you hit this geometric mass of limestone and glass. This is MALBA, the Museum of Latin American Art of Buenos Aires. It was built as a deliberate, heavy anchor in the city to house a continental identity. Before this building existed, masterpieces of Latin American art were largely marginalized by the Western canon. They were scattered across private collections and foreign museums, lacking a dedicated world-class platform to tell a cohesive story. MALBA centralizes a regional narrative that had been scattered across the globe for a century. It functions as a singular stage, allowing a fragmented collection of histories to finally be told as one story. The timing of the museum's creation reflects that urgency. Founder Eduardo Costantini opened the doors in September 2001, exactly when Argentina was plunging into its worst socioeconomic crisis since the Great Depression. In the middle of national chaos, Costantini transferred 223 works from his private collection into a public trust. The museum immediately became a cultural stronghold. The curators adopted a radical approach to display this collection. They abandoned the traditional museum layout. Instead of grouping paintings strictly by the year they were made or the country they came from, they organized the galleries around shared ideological struggles. To read the story of Latin America here, you stop looking at borders and timelines. You navigate through concepts, how people worked, how they resisted, and how they built new nations out of colonial remnants. One of those early concepts is anthropology. In the 1920s, Brazilian intellectuals argued that instead of rejecting European colonial influence, artists should cannibalize it, digest foreign styles, and regurgitate them into something distinctly native. Painters like Tarsila do Amaral took this theory straight to the canvas. By merging European avant-garde techniques with vibrant local subject matter, they forged a completely new, autonomous national aesthetic for Brazil. By the 1930s, the Great Depression hit, and the artistic focus shifted heavily to social reality. Across Argentina, the working class faced severe economic hardship, and mass protests became a fixture of daily life. Argentine artist Antonio Berni responded by pioneering new realism. He used rough materials like burlap to document the desperation of the marginalized, elevating factory workers and the unemployed to the status of classical subjects. In post-revolution Mexico, Diego Rivera took a similar struggle to the walls. He painted massive public murals packed with indigenous iconography, turning visual storytelling into a tool for political education. For these pioneers, the canvas and the fresco were weapons used to forge national autonomy and document resistance against systemic oppression. But the collection's narrative also takes a sharp turn inward. The galleries transition from loud, public geopolitical resistance to quiet, introspective realms of personal pain and spiritual cosmology. The defining anchor of this internal landscape is Frida Kahlo. Decades after her death, her deeply introspective self-portraits command intense global fascination. Kahlo drew heavily on ancient Mesoamerican concepts of dualism. As her health deteriorated, she wove cycles of life and death, the sun and the moon, into a complex personal mythology. Her husband, Diego Rivera, was a central fixture in that mythology. While he commanded public spaces with his political murals, he loomed just as large in Kahlo's private life, representing an intense, often dominating psychological weight. Kahlo's unapologetic exploration of pain, her own infertility, and complex love challenged the gender limitations of her era, transforming her private cosmology into a symbol of emancipation. Today, MALBA refuses to function as a static historical vault. It functions as an active laboratory, adjusting its perspective on what the region's art should be. The curators are actively decolonizing the collection. Recent acquisitions include the massive Deros collection of contemporary works, and they have mounted major solo exhibitions for indigenous artists like Abel Rodriguez, bringing ancestral ecological knowledge to the main stage. The physical footprint is also shifting. With the opening of MALBA Puertos in Escobar, the institution is moving monumental sculptures and contemporary installations out of the wealthy city center and integrating them directly into suburban natural landscapes. These moves reflect a core realization. Latin American art is an expanding boundary that resists stagnation. Since opening during a national crisis, MALBA has grown into a powerful institutional force. It has transitioned from a private refuge into a central authority that shapes how Latin American art is understood globally. By organizing a highly diverse, fragmented continent around shared struggles rather than artificial borders, the museum manages to project a unified Latin American soul. The museum establishes the region as an autonomous cultural power. This unified stage presents Latin American identity through its enduring strength, independent of foreign curation.